an effort to find out if the increased purchases of denatured alcohol, which Mr. Miller had been making in recent months, were warranted by a corresponding increase in the amount of business he was doing, Investigator Warwick checked with several businessmen in town who knew Miller and supplied him with the other raw materials needed for the manufacture of shellac and varnish.
No, I'd have no way of knowing that, Mr. Warwick. We simply take orders and make deliveries to him.
Mm-hmm. But in the past 6 months, there's been no indication of increase in business activity, and the orders he's placed with you for raw materials have been about the same as they always were.
Yes, sir. Well, now, come to think of it, I have noticed one thing. He's not so far behind on his bills anymore. But I suppose that's natural enough. He's beginning to get on his feet again.
Oh, how do you mean?
Well, he was in bad shape for a couple of years there. First he lost his wife, and then his business went bad. Had the place up for sale only a few months back. Couldn't make his notes at the bank. Then he was going to sell out.
Oh, do you happen to know why he didn't sell out? How he suddenly got enough money to continue?
No, sir, I don't. Well, there's been talk around town about him taking in a couple of new partners, but nobody around here ever sees them or knows who they are.
Mm-hmm. And Miller himself doesn't talk about them?
No, sir.
All right, Mr. Rustin. I appreciate your cooperation. You've been very helpful.
Well...
Another one, Pa? You gonna write for another alcohol permit for those two guys? Well, you know they're crooks.
I don't know anything of the kind. Now, we were mistaken about them. They weren't really making whiskey. That was just one of the workers. One of the mixers. They've fired him, and there's nothing like that going on anymore.
Pa, how can you talk like that? How can you make believe there's nothing going on when you know there is? It's like you're working for them, Pa. It's like being as bad as they are.
It isn't being anything. Now, you're just too young to understand. I wish you'd mind your own business.
Ain't it my business to see that you get a square deal and not let those two crooks walk all over you? Why don't you throw them out? Why don't you go to the police?
Because there's nothing to go to the police about.
Isn't there? You never lied to me, Pa. As long as I can remember, you never told me anything that wasn't so. And now you're washing all that out. You're washing out a lot of other things, too, Pa. All the things you and Ma taught me about being honest, standing up for what's right. If I did what you're doing now, you'd smack me. You'd take me out in this shed and...
No, I wouldn't, son. I'd try to understand.
Understand? Understand what? Knowing you're doing something wrong and closing your eyes to it? How many more permits are you gonna write for them? How long are you gonna let them go on, Pa?
What do you expect me to do? Let them kill me? Let them shoot me in the head and leave me in an alley somewhere?
They wouldn't dare.
But I can't, Clyde. Don't you see, if it was just me, it'd be different, but it's you, too. Who'll take care of you if anything happens to me?
But don't you see, Pa? Something's happening to you right now. You're not the same as you used to be. Since you let those two guys come in here, they've been walking all over you, ordering you around, making you act like somebody I can't look up to anymore.
Clyde.
Well, it's true, Pa, I can't.
Son, can't you see my... Hello, Miller Shellac and Varnish Company. Oh, hello, Mr. Sherman.
Hi. No. I just called up to find out about the application for a new permit. You sent it in yet?
Well, no, I haven't. I was just making it out. I don't think I'd better send it in. I've been applying for so much lately, I don't think I can do it anymore. If it keeps on like this...
Now, look, Miller, if you want me to get tough, So what do I care if it's squeezing you? Don't make so much shellac. Put water in it. Only don't argue with me.
But, Mr. Sherman... No, I didn't say that. All right, I'll send it in this afternoon. Clyde,
Boy, Thrifty is sure a perfect nickname for the chief. You should have heard him sounding off to those recruits.
How about saving money? I heard him. Men, the Navy sure is an inexpensive way to travel. But about the only way you can come close to that kind of economy is to get aboard a Greyhound bus. It costs less than trains, planes, or driving yourself. It's real smooth going.
I wonder how Thrifty himself travels.
On land, I always insist on Greyhound.
Thrifty.
So Greyhound and leave the driving to us. Go Greyhound.
And leave the driving to us.
You're ashamed of me, aren't you, son? You think I'm a coward.
I didn't say that.
Oh, but that's what you're thinking. When a man won't stand up and fight, I guess he's a coward. That man happens to be your own father. It's pretty hard to take. Especially when you've looked up to him all your life and thought he was a pretty great guy.
Pa.
It's what kids always think about their fathers. That they're strong and tough. They can lick anybody or anything in the whole world, but it isn't so, son. Sometimes we can't lick anybody. Sometimes we don't know what to do or where to go or even how to get along in the world. Sometimes we're just like kids.
But, Pa, if you know they're crooks and you don't do anything about it...
But I can't, Clyde. Don't you think I've tried? Do you think I'd go on like this if there was any way out? These aren't just crooks. They're killers. They're members of a gang, and they'll do anything to get what they want. This isn't like fighting a kid in the street. In this kind of a fight, you haven't got a chance.
But if you went to the police, they'd be caught, wouldn't they?
But how do I know they'll be caught? They aren't always caught. Half of them belong in jail. They aren't there, are they?
Because people like you are too scared to turn them in.
That's right. I'm scared, I admit it. But I'm alive.
Are you? You call living like this being alive? Taking orders, being afraid all the time, cutting down the shellac you make so you can give them more alcohol? How long are you going to let this go on?
I don't know what I'm going to do, son. Just leave me alone.
So you don't want the deal no more, huh? You hear that, Whitey? He don't like our money. He wants to call everything off.
You gotta let me out, Sherman. I'll pay you back every cent I owe you. Just let me out and I'll sell this place for whatever I can get.
We don't want you to sell, Miller. We can't get no more alky if you sell. That's why we invested in you.
You never invested in me. All you wanted was the alcohol. You wouldn't have gotten that if you hadn't fooled me into thinking you were honest. Now, please, Sherman, you've done everything you can for me. You've got to let me out. I just can't take it anymore.
You're gonna have to take it, Miller, because you haven't got the nerve to do anything else.
I will. I'll go to the police.
Will you?
You've got to let me out, I tell you.
Okay. You want out? All you gotta do is say the word. Go ahead, Miller. Say it if you can't take it anymore. I'll put you out. You see? I know your kind better than you do yourself. Now go on, get out of here. Don't come back crying to me anymore, because if you do, I'll give you what you're looking for, understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Oh, hello, Warwick. What's new? I see. You think that Miller is actually making less shellac than he was before in spite of the increase in alcohol orders?
Yes, sir. I've been checking with some of his customers, and not one of them reports an increase in purchases. If anything, their orders are smaller.
Well, if that's the case, we better find out exactly what Miller is up to. See if you can make a thorough examination of the plant and, if possible, his books without arousing suspicion.
All right, Chief. I'll go right to work on it. As soon as I have any news, I'll let you know.